Welcome to LBM Flash Moments with Phil Fernaro.
All right, hello everyone. This is Phil Fernaro, and this is LBM Flash Moments. And I know we've had a lot of Italian talk here, but I think after my one of my recent Flash Moments, I talked how Italy didn't really inspire me for Flash Moments. But then I started thinking about it. It didn't inspire me at the time. The reflection back after I got back, and maybe I should have talked about this in the light bulb moment. But the reflection back when I got my energy motivated again with all the nonsense going on, that's when the flow of ideas and concepts and thoughts came back to me. So pretty interesting. So today we're going to talk about two things. One, how, and I might put these out of order depending on how I'm feeling. One is how the United States affects other countries. And, I'm limited. I've been to several foreign countries, but not a ton. So maybe someone's going to call and say, nah, Phil, you're crazy. This is not how it is. But I think, Westernization is a pretty big part of what's happening overseas. So we're going to talk about the effect of U.S. On other countries and their people and how they reflect and think about us. But also, I want to talk about something really cool is that it doesn't matter what language you're involved in or what country you're involved in. People tend to communicate in the same way, and trying to communicate with someone that doesn't speak your language sometimes appears to be overwhelming. But don't let it be. And we're going to talk to you a little bit about some of the things, some of the checkpoints of how to deal with someone that you can't communicate with language. Other things that will allow you to do that and help you interact with those people. And for them to interact with you, especially when there's communication breakdowns. So before that, I got to tell the stories. I think it's my top story of actually maybe the last couple of years. And I've had a lot of great top stories. So I'm at the Village of Oak Park and trying to get to a zoning hearing, but I had to use the washroom beforehand. So I'm following this older gentleman into the bathroom. He was about 80 and he was having trouble with the door. 80 years old. So he's having trouble with the door. And I go, maybe, maybe he's just old. But then he goes, oh, this door's heavy. And I go, okay. So after he goes in, I get there and the door there was something wrong with the hinge. It was the worst thing ever. They couldn't get in. So, we both get in there, we both had to use the washroom. Obviously, that's why we're there. And I said, I go, hopefully we don't get locked in here together tonight. That would be weird. And we both got a good laugh out of it. So he finishes washing his hands and he's walking out. He leaves, and then I finish washing my hands, and then I try to push the door and it wouldn't open. I go, okay, here we go. I'm locked in here forever, at least for the night. I don't know how I'm going to get out. So I'm pushing the door, and then I get ready. I'm going to just ram the door with my shoulder, and then the guy on the other side, the 80-year-old guy, pulls open the door and says, "Gotcha." So this guy I had never met before, other than going into the bathroom with him, he pulled this trick on me. He stopped the door from opening as a trick. And I found out later he was speaking at the zoning hearing, and his name was Frank. I should find out his last name, but it was hilarious. So I love that. I love the fact that this guy's screwing with me and he doesn't even know me. And it shows that it's okay sometimes to step out and do something that makes other people laugh. And listen, I've told this story a gazillion times now. The bright community gets the benefit of hearing it, on the flash moment. However, it's literally one of the funniest things that's happened. And thank you, Frank. I don't think you ever listened to the podcast, although I did give him a light bulb moment pen and said that I'd be talking about him on the podcast. He sort of stared blankly at me. But anyway, good story to start this off. So, all right, so let's talk about this a little bit. I've been going to Italy on and off since 2008, and then I was in Florence, and I'm looking around, and we come out of the termini, the train station, and I look, and what do I see? A McDonald's, a Burger King, and a KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, and I go, what is happening? Because that didn't really happen before in the early years. I mean, occasionally you'd see one. They had one in Rome, McDonald's in Rome, and they closed it because of the uproar. And I don't know, it might be back now, of course, but this was in the early days. So it was sort of this reflection of the fact that we're putting the Western culture into something that's not the Western culture. I know the West is also considered Europe, et cetera. But the idea of maybe it's to just say we're Americanizing these things. And I think it reflects back to Dubai when the first restaurant I saw in Dubai was the Cheesecake Factory in one of their big malls or their huge mall, whatever, in Dubai. But the idea is that we're integrating and people are absorbing it. People want to be like Americans in certain respects. But the fast food, is it really what we need? Is it really what they need? I mean, you go there, there's healthy food, you experience, very slow service, not slow service because they're bad, slow service because they want you to experience something special. It's your meal, it's a time for you to relax before you go to work or do whatever you're doing. And it sort of cheapens it because everything in Florence at that time was everything was in a rush. And then when I'm in Rome, everything's in a rush. I mean, beautiful Rome, but they treat you how they think that you want to be treated, and that is as an American, which we don't slow down. Everyone's all over you. Hey, can you get you some more water, bread? This, that. You're upset in America when someone doesn't come and see you within the first 10 minutes or the first 2 minutes of when you're there to greet you and do all this stuff, and that's unreasonable hospitality. I know we've talked about it with Jason Cornick, and that's great. That's what's expected in the United States. I also like it when I'm here. But the idea here is when you shift this to a different country, a different place, you want different. You don't want the same. If I wanted the same, I'd stay in America, right? I want to have the different experience. I love, and I've talked about this for a while, is I love the differences in people in terms of how they operate, why they operate that way, and to experience what they experience, how they experience life. Like I said, if all the countries are the same, then there's no need to travel because we're all the same. I mean, you can get lovely beach views in California. Why do I have to go to the Mediterranean, the Tyrrhenian Sea? I mean, I know they're different, but the idea is that, or if I need mountains, you can go here in the United States. Why would I want to go ahead and do something if everything is the same? So I realized is that when other people were approaching me and they were in a hurry, say, okay, what can I get you? Can I get you coffee? This I go, I was always say piano, piano, slow down, calma, più calma, very calm. The idea is that the calmness is important when you're there. It's because that's what their culture is. That's how they show you hospitality. They want you to be happy. They want you to be relaxed. They want to take care of you while you're there. So why would I want it to be any different? But I think it's shifting because a lot of these countries rely on American tourism, and I think America is more aligned with immediate gratification. Hurry up and let's go. So there were techniques in which I had to shift it back because there's certain areas, like I said, the big cities, they're Americanized. They're treating you like, even if you try to be, like I speak Italian, so I like to speak Italian to them and talk to them, understand them. And when you start doing that, they shift back. It was funny. We were in Porto Venere, and one of the ladies was struggling to speak English to me because that's their job to speak English to the Americans. And I responded to her in Italian, and you could see the sense of relief come over her face. But then the whole dinner was completely different because of the fact that she felt more comfortable that she could be herself rather than to try to be something that she was not. So, so I think that the concept though now is that it becomes harder and harder to interact uh, together too, and everyone has the phone associated with what they're doing, how they're doing it. So it's kind of, if you think about it, the phone also drives the disattention away from being part of the conversation or being intentionally part of that conversation. So this is another observation too about America and what they're trying to do here. And I'm not anti-America. I love America. Obviously, I live here. I just had a podcast about how much energy I feel when I come back to America and when I'm in America. But it's weird that I for 2 weeks, 15 days, I drank wine every day, all day, except for breakfast. So I drank it for 2 weeks, And what happened was is that I felt good all the time. I didn't have it. I go, why is that? And then I started doing a comparison of all the sulfites that are in American wine and the ones that are in Italian wine. I said, wait a minute. Why? What's going on here? Why? I mean, they have. I was drinking a 2012 wine from Brunello, and it was delicious, and it had no sulfites, and I felt good. We drank like two or three of those bottles, and I felt fine. Why is it so important? And I would love for someone to tell me for us to put sulfates in the wine. I know this is way tangent of what we're talking about, but the concept sort of ties in, and this is why. If it works one way, why do we change it to affect us in a different way? And then you just wonder how many other things are going on in the world where we slightly change things that affect us mentally and physically because of the fact that we want to do things like we want to do. So anyway, I think it's important to know is that sometimes the way you do things is just okay. Go ahead and make sure that you like. This is horrible. All right, let's go back and not talk about the wine. So let's cut it off here up from where the wine was, and wherever I start talking about the wine, stop there. So anyway, what I'm not stop there, stop, and we're going to continue on with this before the wine thing. All right, so that's the part of the podcast I'm going to talk. There's two parts I promised. The first part was uh, the how U.S. affects other countries and whether it's good or bad. You guys decide. That's real important. The second part is how to communicate with others that have different cultures and languages. So what happens is that it's sometimes necessary to try to take a risk because let's say you don't speak the language very well, but you practiced, right? It's just like someone speaking English to you that has a foreign, they feel self-conscious about it, but you want them to enjoy and try to learn and try to communicate because they practice, they try to get there. They're giving the effort. I think the same thing holds true when you go to a foreign country as an American. So the way I usually do it, which it's not doesn't always have to be the right way, but this is the way I deal with it. I like to try to be a little outrageous during a conversation to break the ice because if you're communicating to someone you don't understand it, it's a risk to be outrageous. But then it sort of breaks the ice, and then people go, okay, people are the same everywhere. We got a little comedy going on. So it was funny. We were in Germany, and I'm sorry, we were in Italy, and one of the guests at the villa we're staying at was from Germany, and we're talking. He's got broken English. I don't speak any German, so I was joking about that. I saw some English people, and it was right around July 4th and the Independence Day, and I go. I told the German guy I was talking to him about the 250th anniversary, and that I felt sort of bad about it because the reason we had it was because we obviously had the revolution and took America from England. The German guy thought this was the funniest thing. He was laughing, and then other people heard it because we were riding in a car together from the villa to the town Montalcino. But it was like this broke the ice for everybody because of the fact that it was we were making fun of the English a little bit. There were no English there, and there was like German, American, Italian. There was like all sort of a combo. So that sometimes breaks the ice, and then you can sort of interact with those people, and the communication breakdown isn't that important. Um, so also, it's breaking the ice with the staff because the staffs don't know what to expect. They have all these people coming in and out of the villa. They change each day and so forth. So you want to get to know them because you're going to see these people. It's not like you're in a big hotel in a big city. You're seeing these people constantly. So they had a cat, that was on site, and his name was Tanino. Tanino is Italian word for tannins, with tannins for wine. I don't know enough about wine to know what the connection is. I just know they're connected. So we have a tough time explaining something. This person spoke only Italian, and I'm usually pretty good at interacting at the Italian level. But I was going instead of trying to go through this process, I was showing them a picture of the wine, and so I showed her the picture of the wine that I wanted to try, and because I had had it before, but I obviously I didn't. And then I immediately showed her a picture of Tonino, the cat on, and she was laughing. She goes, "Ah, Tonino." So it's kind of like that ability to go ahead and interact and break the ice and be important. And then the other people, played jokes on me too. So I had ordered a dish with beans because the Italians, as they like beans, especially in Tuscany and southern Italy. So I go, I want some of this. I want some of these beans. He goes, no, 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 that's too many beans. He told me in Italian, no, no, not too much. There's too many beans here for you. So then we all had a good laugh that I was going to have too many beans. So anyway, the other part of this that was really cool is that this is the first time that I went to Italy that I was completely comfortable. And every single, not every, most of the Italians go, huh, are you from Italy? Is your heritage from Italy? Because I started speaking in Italian, but it was different this time. And I think it's directly related to what we're doing here on Lightbulb Moments and how I'm learning and growing and understanding patterns. Thank you, AI, for making me understand that I think in patterns. So this time it was different. I felt the concept of being in Italy. I felt it completely. I instead of thinking in English and American viewpoints, I thought in Italian viewpoints. I looked at everything from their perspective. I thought in Italian and I visioned in Italian. And what really was cool was that when this happened, my experience became 10 times better. And I could maybe 100 times better because I was feeling what they were feeling rather than what I was feeling from my American expression. And I think that's important is that if you're a little self-deprecating, you make people laugh, you immerse in their culture, you try to be conscious of what they do and how they do things. You don't try to change them to fit into your circle and you fit in their circle. I think you'll have, a little bit more of a pleasurable experience than just seeing the sights. Experience the culture of what people do. The differences are key. I love differences, and I think that's important for all of us. For tomorrow, Rafi Yitzhaki from Trust Media. We get to talk about trust in marketing. Rafi's a good friend of mine. I met him through Phil Fulton from episode 2. He's in my business advisory group. So I get to see Rafi all the time. Great guy. So we're going to talk about the interlink between trust and marketing. We'd look for the magic tools, whether it's AI or otherwise, to make you better and to make your team better. We talk about the struggles of an entrepreneur. And very interesting is that in order to get the proper answer, he talks about framing and understanding the right question. And real important in today's day and age. So I think you'll enjoy it. In fact, I know you'll enjoy the episode tomorrow. So we will see everyone tomorrow for another positive day of illuminating thoughts and light bulb moments. Stay bright, everyone.